Singh, is it?
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask some questions relating to the Status Resolution Support Services program. The department recently made changes as to the SRSS eligibility. I want to know firstly what was the motivation behind making those changes?
Ms. Garlight.
Yes, Senator. The Minister...
You were just referring to those payments, were you not, before?
They're different. There are different changes.
Yep.
In February, the Minister approved the revised Status Resolution Support Services program. The new design confirms that SRSS, the acronym, is not a social welfare program, and that tiered services would be provided to specifically address the particular barriers that impede an individual's ability to achieve resolution of their status. So, in other words, the assistance provided will be tailored to the particular barriers that they face. But this is all to assist the individual achieve a resolution to their status, which would either be the grant of a relevant visa or their departure.
So this was a ministerial decision?
The Minister approved the redesign, yes.
How many people will be affected by the withdrawal of SRSS payments?
Senator, the process is that we will review the current applicant or the current people receiving SRSS against the new guidelines and determine what level of service is relevant to their needs. I think we're still in the process of that review. I'm not sure if we'll be able to answer that number today, but I can take that on notice for you.
So we will, just to clarify, we will assess all of the SRSS recipients, which is currently just over 12,000 people, starting with those who are most capable of finding employment in the community and supporting themselves.
Okay, so up to 12,000 people potentially will be affected.
There will be 12,000 people reviewed to see what level of assistance is suitable to their need. So against the criteria.
Well, 12,000 people, we agree on that figure, that are in the cohort of obviously who the department will review, that will potentially be in line for withdrawal of an SRSS payment.
Senator, there will be 12,000 people who will be assessed. They may
assessed for what?
Against?
For the withdrawal of the payment?
No, as I said, the SRSS or the continuation of their payment, or indeed different assistance that better suits their needs.
Or the withdrawal of the payment?
Well, that is one option.
Why can't you say the word withdrawal?
Well, because it's not 12,000 people who will be withdrawn.
But up to?
So, well, there will be 12,000 people who will be
Okay, how many children and dependents rely on the people who will lose these payments?
We'll need to take that on notice, Senator.
Are all of the people affected asylum seekers? Like that 12,000 you just gave me, are they all asylum seekers?
They are all people who whose visa status needs to be resolved. So I think the answer is no, because they could include people whose visas have expired, etc.
All right, can you provide a breakdown via the visa subclass?
Yes, Senator. Yeah.
What, on notice or now?
On notice, sorry, I'll have to take that on notice.
How much money will this decision to remove the SRSS payments save over the forward estimates?
Well, until we do the review of the current recipients against the program, we won't know what assistance is being given to whom. So I'm not sure that amount of or that figure would be available. But again, I can take that on notice to check. But until we do the review, we won't know how many people receive which level of assistance.
And what's the completion date for the review?
I'm not too sure. I'd have to
Okay, we'll
take that on notice.
notice, Senator, and get back to you.
So there is no plan at all
No,
around
Sen-
this?
Senator, there is. I just don't have that date with me. I'll get it as soon as we possibly can.
Can you get it today?
I will attempt to get it
Great.
today.
Do you think you get it in the next
Did the
18
department consult with the National Children's Commissioner to the effects of this policy?
I'm not aware, Senator, but I can follow up and find out for you.
Okay, well, from a child welfare perspective, does the department, did the department notify states and territory governments about the intention of this policy change to cut off these payments?
So, Senator, the payments won't necessarily be cut off. So, as Ms Dunn mentioned, those people who are able to work and support themselves and their family will be the ones that will be reviewed first. And those people who are able to support themselves will be expected to do so.
So is the answer yes or no? Did you notify state and territory
I
governments?
think Ms Dunn took that on notice, so we'll
You've taken
find
that
that
on
out
notice,
for
okay.
you. Yeah.
So can you confirm that couples with children under 6 years of age are not considered vulnerable enough to remain on this SRSS program?
No, Senator, that's not a criteria that I'm aware of. In fact, I think we have one where families with children under 6 are considered to be vulnerable.
I'd have to check on that, but a baseline package of services is available to any children. So, for example, access to Medicare, access to education, and then we look at, or rather, the providers of the SRSS program consider what is required by individuals under the program, and then they make a recommendation back to us in the review about what package of services suits the particular circumstances of each family.
Sorry, Ms Dunn, who's they?
Service providers under the SRSS program.
So is there a policy as to how the department makes these determinations?
Senator, the SRSS providers undertake a review of the people who are receiving the SRSS services, and then they make a recommendation back to us about what tiered combination of services are appropriate to the individual circumstances of each person.
All right, well, how did you reach a decision to exclude from the program holders those that are studying?
Senator, we haven't excluded people who are studying from the program. Last year, full-time study was precluded from the program because it precluded people from seeking employment. Part-time study is still possible and available, but program recipients cannot study full-time if it precludes them from seeking employment.
Can you just repeat that? Yeah. So you're saying that someone who's still awaiting for their refugee assessment to be completed cannot study full-time in Australia, despite having arrived as a minor, going through high school, got scholarship to go to university. I know of cases like this.
So, Senator,
and now has their SRSS withdrawn because the department or the government determines that they should not be studying full-time, they want them working, even though there's potentially no job there for them, and even though they may have got a scholarship to go to university.
if it precludes them from supporting themselves, the policy is that if it precludes them from working, then they can't study full-time. As Ms Dunn said, part-time or other study is available, but the basis is that this is not a social welfare program, and if they can support themselves, the policy position is that they should.
This is just ridiculous. I mean, how their ability to build a new life for themselves, is just being taken away by this government.
Sorry, Senator.
Sorry, I'll stick to questions.
Well, you just made a statement. The government's position is this isn't a migration program. These are persons whose ability to stay in Australia is in question. Their status is yet to be settled. And Ms Dunn and Ms Golightly have made that very clear. This is not a migration program.
I was...
Sorry,
I'm not going to respond to that.
I am cutting you off because, look, it's just been pointed out to me that this is actually, well, I assume this is program 2.4. Why we're dealing with it now?
Well, it started under... The line of questioning, to be fair, Senator, Mr Chairman, started under 1.3 and sort of merged into 2.4.
Well, what is it? Because I was going to ask some follow-up questions, but if it's appropriately 2.4, I'll leave my questions
Strictly
to
speaking, the majority of SRS cases are refugee and asylum seeker related.
All right. Well, I won't ask my questions. I'll leave it till then. But please, can you help the committee, because we're not quite sure. I can never be sure what program comes under what. And so if you're asked questions that don't deal with 1.1 or 1.3 that we're dealing with, would you let me know? And again, I'm here till 11 o'clock every night. It doesn't matter, but in the interest of getting something that other senators can, go down the list and say this is where we're at, it does help. Okay, Senator.
Chair, I've nearly finished. I've only got a couple more questions.
Might actually help the committee to get it done.
Well, if there are a couple more questions, yes, I will allow it, because I should have stopped this a long time ago, but I must confess I wasn't paying the attention I should have been. But if there's only two more, let's get rid of it. Although I know Senator McKim do have questions that we will ask at 2.4.
Thank you, Chair. So will people exiting the SRSS program be given any form of job assistance?
So if they need job assistance, they can be referred to Job Active? Yes.
But sorry, the senator asked if they exit the program. Is that because their status has been resolved?
No.
And they've got another visa, or they've been deported?
No. They will still be expected to be resolving their status. So while they're doing that, they
will be given no job assistance.
They will be able to be referred to Job Active.
They will be able to be referred to Job Active. Okay, and what assessments have been made by the department of the likely impact of that withdrawal? Because I understand that these people, obviously will need to find work by, I think it's mid-June, isn't it? When this SRSS payment will be stopped? Early June? Mid-June?
It depends on the individuals and when they have received advice from the SRSS providers. So there may be some people who may no longer be receiving income support from mid-June.
Yes, there might be. So if they are unable to find work by mid-June for a whole range of reasons, what are their options?
So if one of the ongoing parts of the program will be that they're required to report fortnightly.
That's correct.
And they will be able to alert their provider, who can alert us if indeed they're having difficulties, and we can consider the case.
There'll be some consideration at that point by the department.
That's now 5 questions for the couple.
All right, and just finally, has the department done any estimate of the societal cost if these people are unable to find work?
The assessment for them to be removed, if you like, from SRSS would be on the ability for them to find work, and that's what the expectation is. As I said, if in the fortnightly reporting issues arise, well, then they will be escalated.
Okay, thanks, Senator.